Hello friends, last time we discussed how to upgrade your front suspension and how to put new heavier front fork spring. In this video we will discuss how to upgrade your shock and how to find a budget spring for your shock. This is not my know-how. I learned it from Kawasaki forums from user called KLX250, so all the credit should belong to him. And I will demonstrate how to find the right spring on eBay, and we will compare the standard spring and the spring I bought from eBay. So, first of all, we will need to head to racetech.com and click product search. Here we will try to find what are the spring rates for our bike and for rider weight. So I have already selected KLX300 here. You can choose your year and model here, and then we click calculate the spring rates. So for myself, let's take an example. I usually do the single track, have intermediate level, standard stiffness. You can select your H bucket, standard gas tank, no lowering, and let's see, rider weight is 200 pounds. Then you will get the spring rate for your front forks and for your shock. Here we can see that the standard rate from the factory is 5.6, and for my weight and style of riding, the spring rate should be about 7 kg per millimeter. The spring sizes, so the spring size is 270 millimeter length and 63.4 millimeter outer diameter, I believe, and 60.6 millimeter internal diameter. So these springs are widespread for cars, so we can find cheap spring with desired spring rate on eBay. But first we need to convert kilogram per millimeters to pounds per inch, since on eBay most of the springs are listed in pounds per inch. So let's take 7 kg per millimeter and convert it to pounds per inch. So it's about 400 pounds per inch. Typically you can find spring rates with the step of 25 pounds per inch. So the closest one is 400 pounds per inch. So we head to eBay and we type spring 400, and the internal diameter in inches is 2.5 and the length of the spring is 10 inches. But you can put 11 inches or 9 inches. Both of them should work fine, since the preload adjustment on the shock allows little variation in the spring length, and the spring stiffness does not it does not depend on the spring length, so it's a constant parameter. And we hit search. Now we can click eBay Motors and sort by price plus shipping. We can a little bit scroll down and we see some options here. So for now I see like $25, $40, $47, but usually you can find more options. So for example, I bought my spring for $25, or you can try to choose to select 375 spring rate. Maybe we will see something. Yeah, so here there is an option for hypercoil for $25, and 375 will be approximately 6.7, which is pretty close to 7 kilogram per millimeter we are looking for. Yeah, and now let's take a look at spring and how it compares to standard spring, and if we need to do any adjustments to fit it properly to our shock. And before we are moving to actual measurements, please hit like and subscribe if you like content on this channel. Alright, so I have two springs here. The yellow one is a standard from the motorcycle shop, and this one is the shock I bought from eBay, which is about 7.1 kilogram per millimeter, and I believe the original application was for car shocks. So I just want to show a couple of measurements, the length and the outer diameters and the small pivots that you need to consider when you buy this budget car spring, which you, by the way, can find for around $25 to $30, which is much more cheap compared to what Racetech asks. Racetech asks about $150 for spring, so I think it's worth the effort. And fits almost plug and play. So yeah, first of all, some measurements. The standard spring is about 10 inches or 260 millimeter. In a second we will measure the aftermarket spring. So as you can see, the aftermarket spring I bought on eBay is a little bit wider, so the preload adjustments look a bit tiny, but it doesn't affect the functionality. The size of the preload adjustments are enough. Now let's open it and let's measure it properly. So first of all, if your shock is tightened, you need to use a hammer and large screwdriver to unlock the retention ring here. Mine is already loosened, so I can do it by hands. So you loosen it, and then you don't need to hammer the another retention ring, preload adjuster, and you can just rotate your spring inside the shock and unlock it. So mine already loose, so I can just do it by hand. Now both of the washers or adjusters are loose. You can actually take out the spring. You do it. You need to take out this collar, and here is the second caveat. I have already this washer. I will tell you the purpose of this washer later. You can take out the spring. Yeah, let's compare. So the length of the spring is essentially the same as the standard one, which is 10 inches. But the size, I believe, is a little bit different. So as you can see on the video, the size of the last coil on the standard spring is a little bit smaller. So let's measure it on 3.1 inch. And the size of the car coil is about 3.6 inches, which is a bit bigger. So that's why when you put your collar here, it matches nicely, but when you put your standard collar here, it just on the edge. So I used it this way because when you preload the spring, it sits on the spring firm, but then I was able to make this another washer with just little bit bigger size to match the size of the spring better. So that's the only caveat, and other than that, shock with this aftermarket spring clears all the internals just fine, and the different aftermarket springs might be a little bit different sizes, so maybe you will be lucky to find with the smaller last coil, but if not, you either might need a bigger collar or make additional washer, or you might get away with just the standard collar. So a couple of measurements again. So the internal diameter is 65.7 millimeter or 2.6 inches. Once again, yeah. And on that spring, I think the last collar on the bottom might be a little bit smaller, but on the top of the spring it is 2.4 inches or 61 millimeter. But anyway, this additional 3-4 millimeter doesn't matter much. So you can buy the cheap car spring with the proper spring rate for $25-30 and enjoy proper operation of your rear shock.